Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be reviewing The Outer Worlds 2. You take on the role of a commander working for the Earth Directorate, and you're sent to this world of Arcadia to investigate mysterious rifts. Now your initial mission goes terribly wrong, and years later you're left picking up the pieces, investigating who's responsible, and basically it starts off sort of a revenge plot, but later on, you know, the future of the world of Arcadia and humanity is at stake. Because guess what? Rifts are back and they're getting bigger. Outer Worlds 2 is more serious than the first part, but it's still quite a lighthearted game. It still has plenty of humor to go around, although it may be hit and miss. So in the beginning you get to select your stats, you customize your appearance. There's a pretty good amount of choice here. Then you confirm your background, which also affects your playstyle. It affects the choices you get during the game. And you confirm your skills, traits and skills. Now there's only 2 skills that you can specialize in. If you pick the brilliant trait, you can choose 3, but that comes with its own drawbacks as well. This is how the game looks. I mean, you have this map that can be accessed from your ship, and then you pick one of the planets that you want to do quests on. You basically see this cutscene, and then you have to jump down and exit. And there's loading times during this, but they're fairly quick. There's a good variety of areas in the game. You have the free market station, where smugglers have their HQ. This is one of the minor factions in the game, Sub Rosa. Then you have the planet of Eden, which is the first planet you'll be exploring. The perks that you get during leveling, they're pretty extensive, but there's a limited amount of perks that you can select since the level cap is 30. Here's an example of the speech skill in the game. You can complete many quests simply using your speech, which is pretty neat. The situation with the doctor where you have to create some sort of serum for him, but you have no medical skill. Well, if you have the lucky trait, you can just mash stuff randomly and come out with a great outcome. Amazing, look at that. This is quite entertaining to have these mechanics at play, because you won't be able to have all of them obviously, but every playthrough will be somehow different depending on which of these perks and skills you specialize in. So engineering I found quite handy as well. Lockpicking will grant you access to a lot of loot, but engineering is also very useful because many of these doors will be sort of halfway stuck and there's no way to actually lockpick into this. Also, the observation ability will allow you to see hidden entrances like this one, or spot mines in the minefields. There's many areas in the game which are basically like a war zone, and they're mined, or maybe traps are set out for you through the main missions. Aside from just giving you access to certain areas, these skills will also increase the damage resistance you have, or the evasion percentage. All of them have different bonuses basically. Now I found guns to be by far the best combat ability. Not really, melee's is there, but it's sort of like it may work great if you're playing a sneaky style because of the sneak attack critical chance bonuses, but the game has plenty of mechs and plenty of enemies at one time, and fighting them close up I just didn't find that really convenient. I think that guns is a much better choice, but you do have a lot of options in upgrading your stats and upgrading your equipment as well. So maybe if you stacked it with something, even melee could work well. I just didn't really have that experience in my playthrough. I thought melee is quite underpowered, so I just maxed out my guns. Well, until I picked up one of the flaws. I don't recommend selecting that flaw for your first playthrough because it caps your max abilities at like 10 or something, and then you can only upgrade which have 0 points in them. Yeah, this game comes with a flaw system that's quite interesting in a way, but you could also mess up your character real bad. The thing I did like about the game is there's this quest, for example, in the main story when you have to break into the archive. Now, the game intends for you to use the aid of one of the factions, Auntie's Choice or the Order of the Ascendant, to break into this. But you don't actually have to go with that. You can just like stock up on ammo and stuff and solo the whole thing. And it's actually pretty neat, considering, to be honest, I didn't find the side quests of the factions in this game to be interesting whatsoever. Unfortunately, they just didn't appeal to me, either of the ideologies that they have. Now, this particular specimen is from the Protectorate, which is like a Nazi regime that controls Arcadia, but they're at war with other two factions and they're fighting for territory. But originally this is the faction that controlled Arcadia, and there's no option to side with the Protectorate, the fascists. I don't know why, because honestly, since the developers gave you freedom to choose factions, they could have might as well also given you the evil one to have like an evil ending, but they just wanted to play it safe, maybe. I don't know. I've seen criticism of this game that it's sort of spineless in the sense that, well, it conforms to the mass media trends of the current generation. It's sort of not really even an issue of equality, but most of the roles here in this game, for example, the faction leaders are all female. There's sort of an androgynous thing also going on here. This is an example of crafting many abilities and mods you can install for your weapons and armor. A huge selection of weapons, by the way, guys. Something to commend the game on. Now, the gunplay may not be amazing, but it's definitely solid. If you're looking for an action adventure / RPG game, lots of loot, customizability, upgrading mods and stuff like for different builds. This is worth checking out. The environments are beautiful, the visual effects are pretty vivid, punchy and stuff, and there's definitely a lot of excellent art design here. Just not that much enemy variety. Also, I can't really understand why they made water just like kill you instantly. Just look at this, just die, that's it. The Outer Worlds 2 is absolutely packed with dialogue. Unfortunately, as you know, quantity is not always quality. It feels like a lot of the dialogue for this game was written by an AI. Could be that, or it could be just writers using a very fat thesaurus for most of the dialogue. A lot of the side content, the side quests, they just don't feel inspired, and they don't really motivate you to go out and explore more, unfortunately. That's what I felt after playing the game for quite a while. But I still think that the main quest, as well as some of the side quests, are pretty entertaining, and if you like space games, I would recommend giving this one a try. All in all, it's a good effort. It's a refinement over the first part, definitely, from Obsidian, but it's not quite Fallout New Vegas in space, or anywhere near Mass Effect 2 for that matter. And that's, I guess, just the way things go now. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.